Zanesville, the 87 regional semifinal playoff game, brought to you on TV2 by the Pepsi-Cola Bottling Company, Parkway Nissan Lincoln Mercury, by Bag & Save, Farrah Chevrolet, Truck Sales and Service, Buckeye JBS, the J.C. Penney Company, the Pizza Hut Restaurants, Miller Clothing and Shoes, by Andrews Furniture, Sugar Creek Heating and Air Conditioning, by Maurer Carpet, the Tuscarawas County AAA, the First National Bank, Ron's Heating and Air Conditioning, Diamond Savings and Loan, Catola's Dry Cleaners, Zimmer Patient Care, Division of Snyder Labs Incorporated, Pit Stop Car Washes, Marlowe's Stores, McMillan Heating and Cooling, March Sand Pontiac, the Sacro Matthias Realty, and by the Tolenherzig Funeral Home. Coverage is made possible through the cooperation of the Ohio High School Athletic Association, Thornville Sheridan, Dover, and the Zanesville Athletic Department.
Welcome to Salzburger Memorial Stadium in Zanesville. John DeVore with Tim Torelli, and we've got the whole unit here making the long trip from New Philadelphia to be with us here this evening for this Region 11 Division III state semifinal game featuring the Sheridan Generals of 7th-year head mentor Paul Culver. The Generals 10-0 on the season, going up against the Tornadoes of Jim Reichenbach. Dover coming in 9-1, their only loss of the season. And it seems like it's been a long time ago. That 18-14 setback to Steubenville, the Big Red at Harding Stadium. The fans here at Salzburger Stadium had to do it on their own as far as the national anthem is concerned, as both bands are caught in a mass traffic jam off of Interstate 70 and the State Street exit, and that's why we had to kind of alter our pregame a little bit.
Big crowd on hand here tonight for the competition as we're getting set for opening kickoff action, under 6 minutes on the clock. We're going to take a look at some statistical information as we get a start to things here. We know the Sheridan squad is very potent as far as their offensive attack is concerned. Of course, the Tornadoes likewise. Tornadoes numbers on the 1987 campaign as far as their offensive totals is concerned, rushing and passing. The rushing yardage to date after 10 games, 3,078. Passing yards, 551 for a total offense, 3,629. Of course, passing yards, John, untested as of to this date. They really haven't had to go to the aerial attack so much.
And yet, when you look at those passing yardage stats, that's taking into consideration when Dover has thrown the ball, they have a 50% completion average coming into tonight's playoff contest. Of course, they're facing a very potent Sheridan attack. And, of course, the big man we'll be watching for tonight for the Generals will be number 13, Kevin Mager, a 6 foot, 175-pound senior quarterback. He's got some lofty numbers coming into this regional semifinal game. Passed for 1,667 yards, 17 touchdowns, 60% completion rate. And as many times that he's been throwing the football, he's only been intercepted 4 times coming into the game. And not only that, he's the second leading rusher for the Generals coming into the contest, averaging 57 yards a game, as he's averaged rush totals are 570 yards coming into the game. They not only have that to worry about, the Tornado defense as far as that's concerned, but you look at their running game. Jim Robinson setting a school record 1,047 yards on 143 carries. And there's the Tornado defensive numbers, and it's somewhat deceiving. When you look at it, you're viewing the idea that Dover's giving up over 200 yards a game. But really, they've come up with some big plays defensively. Of course, bear in mind last week's game against New Philadelphia, where they picked off 2 intercepted passes and returned them for immediate scores in that early stages of the first quarter in the game last week at Dover.
An item of concern this week for Jim Reichenbach and the Dover Tornadoes was the passing attack by Sheridan. They'll see a lot of it tonight. It'll be interesting to see how the defensive secondary will be tested and react to it.
Of course, let's go to the graphic on the Sheridan squad. Paul Culver, who's also coached at Buckeye North. And
we're talking, of course, about the points allowed versus the points scored summary. We'll get a listing of that here in just a moment.
Also traveled to the Athens area where he coached at Gloucester Trimble High School. But Sheridan coming in, of course, averaging, as Tim mentioned, 41 points a game, scoring 411 points on the season and giving up 47. You look at some of the wins, especially in MVL play. They defeated Riverview 58-6, John Glenn 42-0, and of course their really closest test to date was a 16-14 win against Maysville 3 weeks ago.
We're going to come back and take a look at some of the more of the pregame numbers and stack up what we might see here tonight. We'll do that right after you watch this. Okay, put it in pause for a second. We're back at John Salzburger Stadium. Tim Torelli and John DeVore as we're getting set for the opening kickoff. We're going to take a look at the coin toss here, as it was Dover electing to receive after they won the flip of the coin here a little bit earlier. And as you get a look at the coin toss, we'll talk a little bit more about sizing up the matchup here tonight from John Salzburger Stadium. There you can look at the captains out on the field pregame.
And for Dover, it's Brad Hanks, number 61, and Pat Ferris, number 69, representing the Tornadoes. As you see, the Dover squad now enter the Salzburger Stadium playing field. And now the Sheridan Generals likewise enter the playing surface here in Zanesville.
Both teams' colors, scarlet and gray. Tonight it'll be the Sheridan Generals in the dark uniforms and Dover with the white tops, as the playing field is in very good condition, John. Real dry and grass cut real low, so should pose no problems whatsoever.
Of course, the captains representing Sheridan, Kevin Mager. Of course, they're a good two-way performer, quarterback, along with number 69. Right tackle on offense, John Russell, who's a 6'4", 220-pound senior. Well, we know one thing's for sure on this, Tim. Dover was the receiver of 2,000 tickets, and I understand that all but 92 were handed back into game director here at Zanesville, Ron Apperson. Of course, I remember Ron from my playing days many years ago. We always used to scrimmage Zanesville here, and I'll tell you what, you were tested quite well when you came down here, and we appreciate Ron and his fine staff here, their hospitality here for tonight's contest.
And we're going to come back with the opening kickoff from Zanesville. We'll do that right after you watch this. Tell you what, you probably can bring that crowd mic up just a little bit. Yeah, that's fine, thanks. Welcome back to Zanesville. As we're getting set for the opening kickoff, sounds like the bands are making their way into the stadium, so that ought to provide a little extra noise. We do have a packed house. Dover, as far as their points allowed total on the season, 117 to their points scored, 430. And it ought to be an interesting tilt here tonight. We're getting set for the opening kickoff as Sheridan Generals will get set to kick it away to the Tornadoes. Let's send it over now to John DeVore for the play-by-play description of tonight's contest.
Thanks very much, Tim, and hello, everybody, and we hope you're enjoying this start of the Division III Region 11 state semifinal game in regional competition between the Sheridan Generals and the Dover Tornadoes. There you look at Jeff Martin, number 7, back deep for Dover. And getting ready to kick off for Sheridan will be number 15, Tom Kopis. Sheridan is actually designated as the home team since they finished in the number 2 position in Region 11 Division III. Dover coming in captured the number 4 and final spot. Here's the kick, and they angle it towards the sideline, and Jeff Martin will watch it go out of bounds at the 7. Now this will give us a chance to give you the men in the striped shirts their information for you. Referee, Mr. Ed Milko from Steubenville. The umpire is Mr. Samuel Dudich from Akron. The linesman is Gary Arthur from Findlay. Tony Pelican is the line judge from Columbus, and David Clutter is the back judge, David from Wheeling, West Virginia. So there you have the vitals of the men in the striped shirts for this semifinal region game. And now Sheridan will re-kick from the 35. A clear evening, no wind to speak of here at Salzburger Stadium. Temperature, I'd say, right at kickoff in the low 40s under ideal playing conditions.
As you mentioned, we have some good support here from the staff at Zanesville. We've got a camera up above in the press box area, also a camera on the west side of the stands on our truck, so we'll be giving you a couple different angles of tonight's contest.
The kick is loose out near the 47-yard line, and it's Sheridan who comes up with a football.
That really caught Dover off guard, John. I think they were a little bit unaware that the ball was loose and a live football, and looks as though they might have been watching it go out of bounds as we get a chance to look at the replay.
I don't know if that was really intended or not, but we will get another look at it. Looked like he just really missed the kick. And heading over that way looked like number 22, Dennis Abram, ending up with the football for Sheridan.
There you go with the look at the front line of the Dover Tornadoes as they quickly come out on the field unexpectedly.
Mager under center, and we have whistles before we have the initial play. And with penalty markers on the play.
Looks as though Dover violated the neutral zone. I think the play is going to be whistled against Jay Herbert, number 44. Taking a look at the Sheridan offense.
It's Jeff Anderson, 175-pound senior at center. Link Rummert, 160-pound senior at guard. John Russell, the big 220-pounder at right tackle. Gary Bozigar, the left guard, 190-pound sophomore. Joe Bailey, the left tackle, 185 and a senior. 1st and 5, balls now at the Dover 42. High formation. And Mager looks to pass. He's looking deep, and he has a man wide open at the 5 and scoring. Number 85, Greg Smith. That didn't take long.
Well, John, I'm not sure whether the little play action at the beginning of the play was a trick or not, but whatever it was, it worked. It really froze up the Dover defense, and great TD pass for the Sheridan Generals right off the first play from scrimmage. There you get a good look at Greg Smith, number 85, going off the play. Just a little post-type pattern as Smith had a lot of time to come back for the football and really no one around him.
Good hold on the try for point, but the kick hits the right upright, and it's no good. There's a timeout on the field with 11:25 time remaining opening quarter. The Generals have struck early on that 42-yard pass play from Kevin Mager to Greg Smith. We'll take a timeout. Our score, Sheridan 6 and Dover nothing.
Okay, do me a favor, Dan. Get rid of those zeros, please. Now you got the 6 up. That'll be your marker. I don't like to see that. Thank you. How long did you list that pass?
42 yards. Here's the play. It was just a simple fake to the fullback, Carpenter, and running the deep post cut. There was Greg Smith, who had his defensive man, Jason Edwards, beaten by about 5 yards on a play. And it's quickly 6-0 Generals.
One of the very few times Dover has been caught off guard and caught behind this year. And we'll see how they react to this early tough test.
And the kickoff fielded by Washington right up the middle, across the 35, brought down at the 36.
So that'll give us an opportunity to quickly set the Dover Tornado offense. And there you get a look at the members. Split end, Matt Frame. Tight end, Don Watson. Mark Capel is the left tackle. Left guard, Will Wirtz. Mark Flinters, the center. Right guard, Mike Hostetler. And we'll list the other ones as we get time. Also, Fred Hanks is the tackle, number 61.
It's the second man through. It's Mike Ickes across the 40 to about the 42 before he's brought down.
Smith, one of the tacklers in there, the one who made the touchdown on defense to finally rack up the play.
And he's a hard man to miss out there, being 6'5" and 200 pounds. Of course, we like to mention, as you look at the Dover backfield, Jason Edwards, the man that directs the attack under center. And backs of Ickes, Martin, and Washington. Straight ahead, Washington works his way out to about the 45, and he'll leave him about a yard shy of the first down. Looked like Russell was one of the players in on the stop, and the officials, as you look at the numbers on Paris Washington, 1,226 yards and 165 attempts. They will bring out the chains from the Dover sideline.
As you get a look at the measurement, we might want to recognize the crew bringing you this contest as it's ever so close, just inches. Tim Stavanis, Dan Hurst down on the truck, and Rich Wells and Joe Heck doing the camera operation chores here tonight, trying to bring you the best angles and best replays we can throughout the evening.
So it's third and about 2 chain links for a first down. Right by our side is a gentleman representing the Eastern District, Mr. Richard Gumry. Of course, the superintendent of schools at New Philadelphia. Appreciate his kindness and hospitality with us here. Third and inches. It's Edwards still with it. Pitches out to Ickes. Has some running room across midfield. 45. Knocked out of bounds at about the Sheridan 40. Smith, along with number 34 on the stop.
Mike Ickes just added to his 662-yard carry total. As you see, he gets the outside, has 10 good yards in front of him until finally he carries a couple players for an extra couple yards.
It was Greg Smith along with Jim Robinson on the tackle. And a gain of about 15 yards, giving Dover a first down. Ball in Sheridan territory at the General 40. It's Martin, and breaks a tackle and manages to pick up about 2 yards.
I'll tell you what, I thought Martin was going to go down behind the line of scrimmage, but somehow he popped up for a couple extra.
The initial hit was a good 2 yards in the backfield. How Jeff was ever able to keep his balance. Good individual effort, and they'll give Martin officially a gain of 1. 9:40 time remaining opening quarter.
So you get a look at the offensive alignment as far as the backfield is concerned. Edwards
pitches. Martin gets a block from Ickes. He's in the secondary, and he's wrestled out of bounds at the 30.
John, you know, it's interesting. The Dover Tornadoes are doing what they do best. They're sticking with it, even though they're behind 6-0. So it hasn't deterred them as far as their game plan is concerned.
Again, Greg Smith hustling over from his linebacking position, but not before Martin got 10 yards. There's the pitch. And it's a perfectly timed pitch. Also in on the stop was Mager, the quarterback, who also goes both ways as a defensive back.
And the secret to that play's success, of course, Edwards holding the ball till the last moment possible.
Pitch out, Ickes needs a block. Has the corner turn and gets down to about the 22. And once again, it's Smith on a tackle.
He's going to be a tired young man by the time this game's over with.
You know, Greg Smith doing it on both sides of the ball. He catches that touchdown pass for Sheridan's first points, and now he's come up with about 3 or 4 stellar plays defensively to keep Dover from getting some real big chunks of real estate. Gain of 6, 2nd and 4. Straight ahead, Washington bowls his way to the 20. Try to get the Generals in on the stop. And number 40 was one of the players for Sheridan. Jamie Lentz, the middle guard, 155-pound junior. But not before Washington gain about 3, and it sets up 3rd and 1 from the 20. Again, the full house backfield. Frame split to the left. Second man through Martin. He's in trouble, but breaks a tackle. In the secondary, 10 to the 5. Touchdown, Dover.
What an amazing move by Martin on the outside. I don't know how he shook those couple of tacklers, but somehow he came through the pile there and made his way to the corner for the touchdown, and he loves to run to the corner, John.
That play looked like it had a 2-yard loss written all over it to start. There were two would-be Sheridan defenders waiting for him, and all of a sudden, Martin ducked it outside and just beat everybody to the corner of the goal line. Dover now will try for two, as is usually their custom. Pitch. Ickes needs a block, and he works his way into the end zone for the two-point conversion.
What an effort. We're going to come back and take a look at the scoring plays there in just a moment as you see the score. Dover out on top now, 8-6. We're at 8:01 in the first quarter. Okay. We're back at Zanesville as you're going to get a chance to see the scoring touchdown by the Dover Tornadoes. Jeff Martin on the right side. Watch him break a couple tackles over here. Look at this, John.
There were two Generals that almost had Martin dead to rights, but almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. And once Martin broke those two would-be tacklers, it was a foot race to the front post at the foot of the goal line, and Martin won the battle.
So the Tornadoes score from their own 36. The drive started out on an 8-play drive with a touchdown and 2 extra points.
C.J. Woods with the kickoff, retrieved at the 15. And Carpenter is dropped by Lee Smales at about the 21.
So now we'll get a second chance to see the Sheridan Generals offense take the field. Initially, they were only on the field for one offensive play, good for the touchdown from quarterback to their receiver, Smith, for the TD.
Actually, it was Chris Sagan returning the last kickoff for Sheridan. Lee Smales with the tackle on the special teams. Here's the handoff, and not much running room. As getting the carry, number 34 for Sheridan, Jim Robinson.
Mike Ickes finally racked up the play for just a couple-yard gain.
Ickes and Smales, defensive end also for the Tornado defensive unit on the stop. Now, if you just joined us, you've missed a lot of action already.
As the opportunity permits itself, we'll get a look at the Generals offensive lineup as well as the Dover Tornado defense, so stay with us here.
Megger hands off and breaking a couple tackles. Here goes Robinson before he gets bumped out of bounds by Woods at the 38.
Robinson, boy, I tell you what, a hefty runner. He keeps those legs and feet working, and that's how he bounced off a couple tacklers, would-be tacklers, who had the play stopped up, then made his way down the outside. Here you get a look at it.
Robinson out of the I formation.
Just kept himself working, spun around, and off to the right side.
And Woods made him pay for it as he gave him a pretty decent bump out of bounds, but it's 1st and 10 Sheridan at 38. Now you look again at the offensive line for the Sheridan Generals. 1st and 10 from the 38. Megger looks to pass, has a man out there. It's Smith. He is out of bounds at the Dover 49, which would be good for 13 yards and a first down.
Greg Smith, 85, returning to the huddle. Good flare-out play, basically in the flats, designed just to go for the yardage that was necessary for the first down, and got to the point.
Jason Edwards bumping him out of bounds at the Dover 49. So Sheridan coming right back. And Kevin Megger. Now they send a man in motion. Megger still with the ball. Passes, curl in, it's caught by Smith at the 35, and he'll be brought down right there. Tom Jones on the tackle.
Once again, another play that was designed to freeze the Dover offensive line as you get a chance to look at the fake here.
They fake it to the fullback, Carpenter, and right there on the curl, just hitting a dead spot in the Dover zone defense in the secondary. It was Smith.
And I'll tell you what, he doesn't go out down so easy either, John. It's a big boy.
First down, Sheridan at Dover 34.
Robinson gets through a hole.
Works his way to about the 29 before he finally got cut down. Got a pretty good-sized hole to the left side of the offensive line of scrimmage over Gary Boziger, the sophomore, along with Joe Bailey, the left tackle, 185-pound senior.
Of course, Robinson's a well-built young man, 5'11", 190 pounds. Of course, he's a senior for the Generals.
The other receiver, we haven't mentioned his name up to this point in time, is Doug Factor, 165-pound tight end, a senior.
Dover's coming. Almost half Mager.
Still with the football. Now he looks to run. And he is ruled still inbounds. I thought he may have been out at the 25, but there was an official right there to watch his footing. He managed to work his way inside the Dover 15. Take a look. No, he managed to stay in. I thought maybe right there at the 25.
Did a nice tightrope back.
Sure did. May have caught the chalk on the sideline, but good piece of running there by Kevin Mager.
Good job by our men down in the truck doing the job, getting us the videotape replays in a hurry.
And this time, Robinson cut down the play made by, I think it was Pat Ferris. Yes, it was. 69 for the Tornadoes. Looked like he was on a stunt, as he was actually coming in on a blitz-type game as you look across the way to the Dover sidelines momentarily. No gain on the play, 2nd and 10. 2 wide receivers this time. Actually, 3 wide receivers again. A throw out in the flat. It's caught. Defense pretty well by the Dover secondary. Edwards on the tackle and making the reception, number 88, Eric Ramey.
I do believe that was 85, Smith, John.
Smith again? Okay.
He's on the far side there. Kind of tough to pick out his number from the press box here, but just a short play out to the flats. Good for a couple yards.
Play gain 6, 3rd and 4. Ball spotted at the Dover 9. Man in motion is crossing the flanker. Straight ahead handoff, and it's Carpenter to about the 6. Looked like Chad Shoeball, the middle guard, got a piece of the tackle. Now it'll set up about a 3rd and 1, and Sheridan wants to talk about it. 4 minutes, 14 seconds time remaining opening quarter. Timeout from Salzburger Stadium in Zanesville. Our score, Dover 8 and Sheridan 6. John DeVore back with Tim Torelli here at Salzburger Stadium in Zanesville. It's 4th and about 1.5 yards, actually, as to where they spotted the football between the 6 and 7 yard lines.
Of course, this is our first look at the Sheridan Generals all year. Looks as though they got a powerhouse as far as their offense is concerned. It's going to be one of those knockdown, drag-out offensive affairs, looks like, as Generals involved in a 9-play drive thus far, which started on their 23-yard line. And they are knocking on the door once again.
And Smith lined up wide to the left. Mager looking, rolling, trying to turn the corner. Gets down to about the 3, which would be good enough for a 1st down. Smales on the tackle with help from C.J. Woods. So he needed 2. He got close to 4. And it's 1st and goal from the 3. This drive after the Dover score, starting from the 20. Now we have a pro formation left. Smith and Crossan. Double wideouts. Robinson works his way down inside the 2, probably about 1.5 yards away from the goal stripe. Ed Fanton, Smales in on the tackle. Looks like it's right at the 2. In the backfield, Carpenter lined up in the eye as the fullback. Jim Robinson, the 190-pound senior, lined up in the tailback eye. Mager calls the signals. Still has the football, turns it up and goes in for the touchdown.
Mager doing some good running of that offensive option play there and broke through just a hole that was open for a moment. Made his way through the goal line for the touchdown. There you get a chance to see it again. Mager goes to the outside for a moment, then sneaks it back in for the touchdown.
I'll tell you what I've seen of him already. You can see why he's picked up the numbers he's possessed and why a lot of people, especially those that have an eye option type of offense, are really interested in this young man as far as Division I football. Now Sheridan, since they missed the last extra point by way of the kick, will try for 2. Mager still with it, throws, incomplete. C.J. Woods, I think, tipped it just enough from the intended receiver, Eric Ramey, so the try for 2 fails. See, he just altered the flight of the ball enough. So the try for point is no good. We'll take a timeout. 3 minutes, 14 seconds. Time remaining, opening quarter. You missed the fireworks early, folks, if you're just joining us. Our score, Sheridan 12, Dover 8. We'll be back with the Generals kickoff after you watch this.
Nice job, guys. 12 to 8. We're back at Zanesville. Sheridan coming off another touchdown, point after conversion failed. 12 plays started from their own 21-yard line. And of course, in that series, some good running as well as passing. A couple 15-yard pass plays from Mager to Smith, along with a host of good running attempts.
And Tom Coppus to kick off for Sheridan. It's Paris Washington and Jeff Martin deep. This time it will go to Martin at the 15. Coming straight ahead across the 30, 35, 40, brought down at the 43. And on the tackle for Sheridan, number 60, Link Remmert, who's one of the offensive linemen. There's Martin coming straight ahead, breaks one tackle. There's another tackle that he managed to break, and also in on stop number 40, Jamie Lentz, who just held on long enough.
Martin did his best to shake him loose. Had he could have gone for some extra yardage.
Straight ahead, Washington across the 45 to the 47. Taking defensive penetration was Ramey. He's a 165-pound junior. Play didn't really look like it gained much, but when you look at the sticks across the way, it picked up close to 4 yards. Second down, we'll call it 6. Jason Edwards looking to pass. Has to get rid of it, and he's hit just as he throws, and the pass goes out of bounds. He was looking for Mike Ickes to turn up in the opening past the first-yard marker, and had he elected to make that move upfield, I think he would have been open. Now you see Jason just getting hit as he delivered the football. Doug Factor was about the nearest player to the football, and he's wearing, of course, a red Sheridan uniform. 3rd and 6. Straight ahead. No, it's Edwards on the keeper. Gets across midfield.
It's going to be just about a yard shy of the first down.
Now Jim Reichenbaugh really has the first decision to make. It's 3rd and...
Well, actually, where they mark it, they're
actually
mark it back
4th and 2.
A little bit further than what we had estimated.
4th and 2. The ball on the Sheridan side of the 50, and Dover's coming out going for it.
Of course, maybe they'll try to see whether Sheridan will jump, give them the first down yardage necessary. That's exactly what they did. And it was Sheridan doing a good job not taking the bait, so they'll set up now and punt it.
And Dover will take time out with 1:43 time remaining opening quarter. Our score, it's Sheridan 12 and Dover 8. Welcome back to Zanesville. I'd like to give you some particulars on the opponent tonight, Sheridan. Of course, they're nicknamed the Generals, their conference, the Muskingum Valley League. Their enrollment in the high school level, 274 boys, which of course qualifies them in the Division III position. Superintendent is Mr. Steve Johnson, principal Mr. Charles Dillbone, and the athletic director, Barry Detweiler. 4th and 2, Dover. Again, full house backfield, frame lined up as a split end. Straight ahead, Washington, and I think by a yard he has it. And we still have a player down at about the 47. Get to look at the tail end of that play, and as I mentioned, we have a Sheridan player down at the 48.
While they sort out that injury, John, down on the field, we'd like to thank Barry Detweiler, the athletic director, as you mentioned, from Sheridan, Thornville Sheridan, and his help for cooperating in our cable cast coverage of this matchup, as well as the Zanesville Regional Site playoff manager, and that's Ronald Apperson, the athletic director here at Zanesville. He's taking care of all the tournament arrangements for this particular matchup in Division III, and it's a pretty good tournament, real good turnout here tonight.
And coming off the field for Sheridan, number 52, Jeff Anderson. Of course, coach of the Sheridan Generals, Paul Culver, graduate of West Liberty State College, 7th year as the head mentor at Sheridan with a career record of 39 and 33. And of course, the Generals, the last 3 years in succession, qualifying for playoff competition. Here's Martin. Gets across the 45 before he's tripped up. Looked like number 21 on the tackle for the Generals. Blair Crossan, a 150-pound junior coming up from his strong safety position. Gain of 2. Clock winding down towards the 1-minute mark. Let's look at the numbers on Jason Edwards coming in. 44% completion average for Jason. Edwards still with it. Pitches to Ickes. Gets a block from Martin. And gets down to about the 36 before he's wrestled out of bounds.
Tell you what, Martin, although he did not level Crossan totally, he just did enough job on him to get that play strung out to allow it to go for the extra yardage necessary.
Now you look at the numbers on Mike Ickes, 662 yards on 95 carries. It's close enough to measure. And a player still down near the Sheridan bench, and I think it could be number 85, Greg Smith. Saw him fly across Ickes as he was trying to make the tackle. It is good enough for a first down. But you were right, Tim. Martin, even though he wasn't able to get a real good block on the man trying to force the play, screened him off well enough to let Mike Ickes turn the corner and pick up the additional yardage. And while they attend to the injured Sheridan player on the General sideline, we'll take a timeout. 52 seconds, time remaining first quarter. It's the Generals 12 and the Tornadoes 8.
I guess you guys can put it in pause here for a second. If you haven't done it.
He is able to get up to his feet, and he'll at least sit out this play. Washington. Loose football. And there's a stack of bodies, and I think somehow out of that, and that's Mike Hostetler came up with a football, but we'll wait and see. Yeah, Mike Hostetler. So a rare fumble by Paris Washington, but boy, there for a moment it looked like it was going to be Sheridan's ball, because there was really, and you could see right there somehow, Mike Hostetler managed to beat everyone to the football. Edwards pitches to Martin. Needs a block, and he is cut down on a great play.
What an open field
by
tackle.
Kevin Mager.
I'll tell you what, he fought off a blocker, and maybe we'll get a chance to see it again, and really stuck the play for a loss.
Well, Jason got hit right there. You see Mager just coming out of nowhere to drop Martin at the line of scrimmage for no gain, and that's the end of the first quarter. When we return to Salzburger Stadium in Zanesville, the Tornadoes will be faced with a 3rd and 7 from the Sheridan 33 when we return. Our score at the end of the first quarter of play, Sheridan 12, Dover 8. We'll be back after you watch this. There you look at Tornado head coach Jim Reichenbaugh heading back to the Dover sidelines. Tornadoes now faced with a 3rd down 7 as we get ready to start the second quarter of play.
This drive began on their own 43. 8 plays to get them to this point so far.
Sheridan's showing a 50 defense. Pass is off the fingertips of number 34 with the defensive play. Good play by the linebacker, Jim Robinson. No play action.
Robinson doing a great job to play his particular segment on the field. Got his hand up and deflected the pass.
C.J. Wood had a step on his defensive man in the secondary. So now this will set up 4th and 7. And the Tornadoes will go for it. Edwards. No play action. Now it's the reverse play to Ickes, and Mike's in trouble. Brought down back at the 45. Looked like number 22, Dennis Abram, was the one that forced the play to start out. And that's who it was, even though he didn't end up with the tackle. Got help from Sherman Carpenter, and this gives the Generals good field position at the 45. I think a lot of people might question Jim Reichenbaugh's decision in not punting the football away. Here's Robinson for about 3 yards to the 48. Ferris, McCutcheon defensively in on the play, along with Washington. Mentioned Robinson coming in 1,047 yards, which is a Sheridan school record on 143 tries. There you look at Mager's numbers passing the football, and that doesn't include the additional 570 rushing. Mager looks under pressure. He's dropped back at the 42.
Mager actually thought he had a little bit more time than what he really did. Nice job by the Tornadoes.
Pat Ferris around the ankles, and I didn't really catch the second Dover player in.
Looks like he was going for for Smith, but Ferris would not have any part of that. I think Mager that time underestimated the quickness of the Dover defense.
So the loss sets up 3rd and 14. Almost 2 minutes into the second quarter. It's 12-8 Sheridan. Mager still with the football, looks to go for the home run, and
Edwards
it is positioned by Edwards, and we may have offensive interference on Smith.
I think Smith was all over his backside that time. Edwards actually got himself around in the appropriate position that you might think an offensive receiver would be going for the football, and the backside official caught the play.
There you could see the position, no question that Jason had the inside position to come up with the football. Craig Smith tried to go for the miraculous effort. We also have a tripping penalty, so Dover has an option. So we have double fouls on the offense. Now the referee at Miltco discussing the options with Tornado defensive captain Pat Ferris. I think, if anything, they'll take the interference penalty. And of course, with the interference penalty, that constitutes loss of down. So now we'll see our first punt of the game. Look at the Dover secondary.
Going back will be Jeff Martin for the Tornadoes. He'll receive the punt.
Normally, Alan Weston is with him in double safety, but Alan was out all week with an illness, and they're electing to go to the single safety, and the punt gets a Dover bounce and goes out of bounds at the Sheridan 49.
Might have heard some fan reaction down there. I think some of the fans wanted a penalty on Sherman Carpenter against C.J. Woods. Kind of tackled him before the ball actually was down on the turf.
So Dover gets good field position right back, and now the ball will be put in play at the 49 of Sheridan. Straight ahead, Washington gets down to about the 44 before he's brought down. Looked like number 66, Tim O'Ryan, had him around the ankles for a moment, but not before Paris gained about another 2 yards after he was hit. Paris, the numbers on him, 6'1" and 218 pounds, and let me tell you something, he is a load. 2nd and 5. Second man through.
Looks like Ickes.
Ickes, and not much running room.
He's going to be tackled and brought back to the line of scrimmage by a host of front people from Sheridan.
Looked like big number 69, John Russell, was in the heat of the fray out there.
There you get a look at the Sheridan defense. Jamie Lentz, the nose guard, left tackle. John Russell, right tackle. Tony Taylor, Lance Dupler, the end. Dennis Abram, the end. Kevin Mager and Blair Crossan as well, defensive backs.
3rd and 4. And it's a full house. Backfield for the Tornadoes. Long count by Edwards. Looked like he might be checking off. Martin, again, breaks a couple tackles, stays in bounds, and he is close to a first down.
Martin that time did a great job of fighting off Robinson, who had him in the backfield, looks like, but he tried too much arm tackling, as you'll see down in the lower right portion of your screen. There it is. And he breaks away and does a great effort to just get what he did out of it.
I think it was just that instance when Martin made that move. Jim Robinson just did well enough to try to hold on to him long enough for the defense to get caught. First down now for Dover. Having a little short in my headset momentarily, but we quickly got it corrected. Here's Ickes on a counter play, and we have a penalty marker at about the 38. And it was thrown right in the middle of that stack where you may detect holding. Well, Ickes fought his way for close to 10 yards.
See whether we can pick it up here. Kind of tough from our vantage point. We'll have to wait till they sort it out, and it's going to be called against the Tornadoes.
Well, the umpire, Samuel Dudich from Akron, and that's usually his job and his position to be looking for those illegal use of hands infractions, and he's usually got a pretty decent look at it. So this sets Dover back 10 yards.
One of the weaknesses in the Dover Tornadoes this year, their penalties. Tim Stavanis noted that last week in the Dover-Philly game, although it really hasn't come to a point where it's caught up with them. Of course, in a game of this type of situation, it's where they all count.
That's for sure. You can ill afford major markups like this. It's awfully tough to try to work your way back first and 20, but Edwards will try. And a pass goes over the outstretched fingertips of Matt Frame at about the 37. He was open. Matt, 135-pound senior. Pass just too tall for Matt to come down with. Second and 10 now from the 48. 8:07 time remaining, first half. From Zanesville. In front of a capacity crowd, which I think numbers in the vicinity of 6,000. Here's the pass, and it is intercepted by Robinson, who's forced out of bounds, but I think we may have defensive interference. That time, C.J. Woods ran the curl in and ran into a crowd.
Let's get a look at the defensive interference here.
There wasn't any question about it. Number 82 looked like he was the guilty
party. I think that was Doug Factor in there. And officials sorting things out, talking with Dover.
This is 15 yards and gives Dover a new lease on life for the first down. So they'll go back to the line of scrimmage to mark off the yardage against Sheridan. Looked on our monitors, we got a second look at it with no question whether or not it was interference as play resumes. And Tim's going to try to work out the problems with the headset. Hope to have Tim back with us here momentarily. Gain of about 2 yards on the last running play. Ball spotted just outside the Sheridan 30. Full house backfield. It's Edwards who pitches to Martin. Cuts inside, and Mager right there on the tackle. Gain of about 2 yards, maybe 1 actually. They spot him inside the 30 at the 29. Again, Jason just got off the pitch in time. Third down and 7. Now C.J. Woods split to the left. Watson tight at right end. Full house backfield. Washington will go nowhere. As number 22, Dennis Abram, comes up with the defensive play. So now that sets up fourth down. Dover really in 4 down territory, 4th and 8. Edwards passes, and it is picked off. Doug Factor with the interception. Woods on the look, and he had the inside position, but Factor was right there to pick it off. So the ball spotted now at the 20, and Sheridan takes over on downs. Clock winding down, 5:45, time remaining first half. This time it's the first man through Sherman Carpenter for about 2, perhaps 3 yards. Looking at the Tornadoes in there defensively. Look like Washington, Fant, host of others in on the play. Gain of 2, 2nd and 8 from the 22. As now the defenses have really started to take over here in this quarter. Mager pumps, looks downfield. Now he's in some trouble and he's hit, but manages to pick up about 2 or 3 yards. That's the advantage of an agile running type quarterback. He could definitely be an added weapon in your ground game. Tornadoes have him pretty well surrounded, but he managed to work his way out across the 25 to the 26. 3rd and 4. Big possession play for Sheridan. Mager still has it. He's looking, he's in trouble. Works his way forward, picks up close to 2 yards, and the Tornado defense comes to life. Looked like Herbert. Dover really did a nice job of stretching that defensively, the option play out. Forced Mager to cut back, and Lee Smales, you could catch him on the tail end of the play, was really the man that, though he didn't come up with the tackle, he really made the play. It will be the quarterback, Mager, who does it all. He does the punting. This will be his 2nd punt of the night. Knuckleball type kick. Gets a Sheridan roll inside the 40, and it's touched dead right at the 40. So when the Tornadoes go on offense with 3:38 time remaining, they'll have 60 yards to travel. We'll take a timeout with 3:38 time remaining first half. Our score, Sheridan 12 and Dover 8. First and 10 Dover. Ball spotted now at their own 40-yard line. Martin looks to pass, has Matt Frame out there. He's got it at the 25, 15, 10, 5, touchdown Dover. Jeff Martin to Matt Frame, 60 yards, and it's 14-12 Tornadoes. And they've run this play before. Not necessarily with Martin, but they have run it a couple of times with Ickes. Throwing the halfback pass. Dover will try for 2. This could be a big 2-point play. And now Jason Edwards wants timeout to talk about it. We'll keep it here. As you look at the almost 2,000 strong following from not only Dover, but all of Tuscarawas County. Seems like whenever one of our area teams make it to the playoffs, it not only becomes a school happening, it becomes a county-wide type of situation. Well, it's really nice of the true sports fans of the Tuscarawas County area to back the team, whichever team it is, as far as qualifying for playoff competition. Edwards pitches. Martin will get in. Three minutes, 13 seconds, first half. And now it's the Tornadoes leading 16-12. There you look at Edwards, who thought about keeping it, and at the last instance, pitched it to Martin. Actually, Edwards with a nice move to draw the defense in towards himself, and the last moment pitched it out to Martin. So now it is 16-12 Dover with 3:13 time remaining first half. Woods with a good kick, fielded at the 6 and coming upfield across the 20. Robinson, it looked like Tyler Wallach was the first player down to make the tackle. Now 3 minutes left in the half. This is an eternity, the way things have transpired here in the first half. You can bet one thing for sure, that Kevin Mager will fill the air with footballs from here on out. Just as I say that, he hands off, and Robinson cut down on a good open field tackle. Pat Ferris with the defensive play. You can see Robinson had some running room. Right there was Ferris to shut him down for about a 3-yard gain. Sheridan no huddle offense. Mager still has it. Now he feels a little bit of pressure, has some room to run. And Ickes had him momentarily, and now he's out of bounds, and I think we have a penalty flag. This is what a running quarterback will do. He'll really just cause you anything but fits out there. And right there you could see the tackle made out of bounds. And this will cost Dover 15 yards. All right. Penalty right now, Tornadoes really can ill afford to give up. First and 10, Sheridan for the 49. Mager, blitz is picked up, throws, incomplete, intended for the receiver underneath. That was a real tough pass to throw by Mager. Had to actually throw it back across his body. As Eric Ramey, the tight end, was the intended receiver. Of course, he put it in a position really where Ramey was probably the only player on the field that could come up with the catch. Second 10, 2:10, time remaining in the half. Kevin Mager calls the signals. Fakes, under pressure, and Scott McCutcheon has him back at the 43. So a sack for McCutcheon. You could see he came in clean. Managed to get into the backfield untouched. Scott, a 164-pound senior defensive end. Sheridan has taken a timeout with 2 minutes left in the half. We'll take a timeout. Our score, Dover 16 and Sheridan 12.
Okay, John's mic is going down. It's got a battery, but he can make it till halftime. Why don't you turn me up, please? Thank you.
Okay, I don't hear you. Well, they got me going here. I'm okay.
You're up, but it's not working. I'll plug you back in.
Okay. He said you're up, but it's not working. He's going to plug it back in. Okay. Back to Salzburger Stadium in Zanesville. It's a 3rd and 16 for Sheridan. Ball spotted at the 42 of the Generals. Kevin Mager sets him down, still with the football play action. Has some time. Now he's under some pressure. Breaks a tackle. Still on his feet. And gets his way to midfield. Stays in bounds, so the clock continues to run. And it's now 4th and 9. There you look at Mager again, and boy, does he have some nifty feet. I'll tell you, he just works his way out of tackles so effortlessly. It's just absolutely astonishing. And it looks like that the Sheridan Generals are content to work on the clock and take the delay penalty. And now we have the 5-yard mark off for delay. Well, now if you're Jim Reichenbach across the way, do you send out the all-out troops to try to block it as you look at the graphics of our officials? Ed Milko from Steubenville, Samuel Dudich from Akron, Gary Arthur from Findlay, Tony Pelican from Columbus, and David Clutter from Wheeling, West Virginia. Again, Mager does it all. This will be his 3rd punt of the game. Punt almost caught Lee Smales. Well, that just barely went over Lee's shoulder. He was lucky to be able to get out of the way of that one. 56 seconds remaining in the half. And, of course, for you viewers watching the game in Tuscarawas County, have tonight's halftime performance, the playoff performance of the Dover High School Marching Tornadoes in intermission. So we hope you'll stay tuned. Straight ahead handoff, Washington almost able to work his way out of the pack at the 25, able to work his way to about the 28. So it looks like Dover's content on running out the clock and taking a 4-point lead into the dressing room at halftime. And right now, really, Tim, it comes down basically to first half. Dover's capitalized, even though Tim can't talk to me, it's come down to Dover's ability to score the conversions and Sheridan's inability to score on their conversions. Otherwise, it's been a pretty even Steven game like we sort of expected. That'll be the last play of the half as Ickes runs the clock down to 1, and that's the end of the first half of this Region 11 Division III Ohio High School Athletic Association state semifinal or regional final playoff game. Our score at the end of a very exciting first half of action from Zanesville. It's the Dover Tornadoes 16, the Sheridan Generals 12. We'll be back with tonight's halftime performance of the Dover High School Marching Tornadoes after you watch this.
Check. Okay, now I'm going to change both these headsets here, guys. You can't tell me my pop just went down all of a sudden. we're back at Zanesville at halftime, coming off that excellent halftime performance by the Dover Tornado Marching Band as the players are back out on the field warming up. We seem to have got our audio problems rectified here, and we're going to give you a scoring summary of the first half of action. Quite an exciting half of action, John, and a real ball game being played out there on the field right now.
Of course, it started right off the bat with the opening kickoff. First, the initial kick went out of bounds inside the 10-yard line, and then on the re-kick, Sheridan able to come up with the football. I don't know if it was really a pre-planned play, but it turned out to be quite a big one in the early going. And on the very first play, quarterback Kevin Mager hit his favorite target, wideout Greg Smith, for 42 yards, and the try for point actually hit the right upright, and that made it 6-0 Sheridan. We were only 35 seconds into the contest at the 11:25 mark of the opening quarter. Dover then came right back as they started the drive. Maybe replay some of the events on that drive.
It was an 8-play drive, John, which started on their 39-yard line and capped by a Martin 20-yard run as he made his way on an outside scamper. And, of course, the conversion was good. And at that point, it was Dover coming right back to get on top, 8-6.
Of course, a 2-point conversion attempt on the end option play to running back Mike Ickes made it Tornadoes on top, 8-6 at the 8:01 mark of the opening quarter. But then Sheridan came right back. And it was a good extended drive of 80 yards in 12 plays. And rounding it out, quarterback Kevin Mager on the 3-yard keeper. This time they tried for 2 points on the pass, and the pass deflected by C.J. Woods. That made it 12-8 Sheridan.
And then stand by for the fireworks. And we'll get a look at it here as with 3:13 remaining in the second. Dover scored on a big 60-yard pass after the handoff from Edwards went to Martin. Martin threw it and hit Matt Frame, a wide-open Matt Frame for the touchdown. And the conversion was good, 16-12 at that point. We'll get a chance to look at it here as time permits as Dover gets set to kick it off away to the Sheridan Generals, as early in the contest it was Dover getting the option. They took the kick, and now Sheridan will get their chance to start things here in the second half.
Of course, really up until that big play on the option play from Martin to Matt Frame, you'll get to see it again. It's just the pitch to Martin, and he just lets it all out, and Frame caught it at the 25 and then won the foot race to the end zone. But up until that point in time in the second quarter, the defenses were really starting to take control of the game. Here's C.J. Woods with the line drive. Kickoff, we start the third quarter, but we have a penalty marker.
And as we sort this out, John, we'd like to recognize the fine people who are with us here tonight as part of our crew. Tim Stavanis directing down in the truck, along with Dan Hurst, Rich Wells, and Joe Heck camera operators. And we're bringing you the replay action from Zanesville as Dover will get set to re-kick it.
Of course, Salzburger Memorial Stadium, our playoff site here. And I would say, I don't know how many this stadium seats, but I would say around 6,000. I think that's a pretty good figure. And I mean, people are lined around the running tracks. The one end zone, it's kind of a slope up there behind the one end zone. People are even taking the bleacher seats, using the hill to their advantage. But it's just been a great, great first half of action thus far. Woods will now kick from the 35. Good line drive kick, and it's fielded
by Robinson.
Robinson trying to get some running room around the right side, and he's cut out of bounds at the 25. And making the play on the return team, Joe Miller, number 33. Joe, just a junior, working on the specialty teams.
And once again, you get a chance to set the Sheridan offense.
Again, Anderson, the center. Rummert, Russell, the right side of the line. Bosinger, Bailey, the left side. Tight ends Factor, the wide receivers, Greg Smith. Mager on the keeper. Ooh, did he get drilled at the 29? Looked like Shoeball had him initially, spun him around, and I don't know who the second player was in there.
I think that allowed Jay Herbert to come around and rack him up. Really took a hit.
But Mager able to fall forward for about 4 yards. We'll call it 2nd and 6, ball just touching the 30. Sheridan with a perfect 10-0 season coming in. The Tornadoes at 9-1. You got to look at Smith, the wideout. Mager, option, in trouble. Washington cuts him down along with Ed Fanton to 31. You mentioned, Tim, you were down either yesterday or the day before to take a look at the setup that we had to offer with our facility. And really, this has really worked out quite well for us.
Certainly has. We appreciate all the cooperation we've been receiving from the Zanesville officials. Zanesville tournament people actually running this particular tournament. Ronald Apperson, the tournament manager, as the Sheridan Generals get set to come up to the line. Running a little bit short on time as they had a little bit of discussion with the play calling on that particular play.
Throws, it is caught. Smith breaks a tackle at midfield, but Edwards able to get a piece of Greg enough to force him out of bounds at the 49.
Once again, Sheridan using that play out in the flats to their success. As a quick look in by Smith, and on the receiving end of the pass from Meager, as Meager's a little bit slow in getting up, but he finally does so. There you get a chance to look at it again.
And it's just that simple 8-yard out, and it's just a tough pass to cover.
Right.
If you start trying to play it.
He was hotly pursued by Edwards, but just had one step on him. That's all that's necessary.
The key is if you start trying to play the out, then Smith will turn it up the sidelines and take it the deep route on you. First down, Sheridan at their own 49. Crossing in motion to the short side of the field. Quick toss. Robinson hit by Paris Washington with Mike Ickes, but I'll tell you something, Lee Smales did a fine job containing the play to the outside.
He certainly did, and that allowed enough time for his Dover teammates to come over and rack up the play. Robinson being tested right there, and as you mentioned, good job by a host of Tornado defenders.
You know, Lee Smales really hasn't been on too many tackles, but he's really forced a lot of plays outside, and the defensive pursuit from the linebackers have really picked up the majority of the tackles. It's 2nd and 9, ball just touching midfield.
Of course, he is playing in the position for Jay Jones, injured Dover Tornado.
Mager rolls left, under some pressure. He will go down back at the 40. Pat Ferris on the tackle.
We'll get a chance to look at that again. Watch Ferris come quickly through the offensive line.
He was blocked momentarily, but was able to fight through the block and got Mager by the ankles back at the 39.
So the Dover Tornado defense rising to the occasion. Coming up on the 9-minute mark here in the third quarter from Zanesville. Hope you're enjoying the action. Third down, 19-yard situation.
Smith split left, crossing flank. 2 men combined pattern. Mager has some running room. He's at midfield. He's stripped of the football, and it's loose. And I think Dover has it. Paris Washington fumbled, forced the fumble. Ed Fanton with the recovery.
A little bit of confusion on the behalf of Sheridan as they didn't really know whether the ball was down or not. As you get a second look at it, Meager scrambling to the outside, hit once, forced loose by, as you mentioned, Paris Washington, and the Tornadoes come up with it.
Just as Meager was about ready to go down, Washington able to pick his pocket, and the Tornadoes get a big break at the General 47.
Smart play by Dover.
Full house, straight ahead Washington to about the 43.
Comes up with a quick 4-yard gain.
Let's give you a review of the Dover offense. Again, it's Mark Flinner at center, Mike Hostetler and Will Wirtz the guards, Mark Capel and Brent Hanks the tackles, Don Watson the sophomore at tight end, Matt Frame the senior who has a touchdown reception to his credit tonight, split to the right. 2nd and 7. Edwards loses the football, had it stripped, and coming up with it is Sheridan. Tim O'Ryan stripped Edwards of the football.
Watch the big hit by O'Ryan.
Right there.
Came in and kind of punched the ball out of Edwards' grasp. Fell loose and nobody around except the Generals.
Number 88, Eric Ramey recovers. And just like that, the teams exchanged turnovers. After it was a fairly free turnover first half. There was one interception, of course, by Sheridan. First down, Generals from the 44. And it's straight ahead to Robinson, but not much running room available. Chad Shoeball, the middle guard, getting credit with the tackle. Gain of 1, 2nd and 9. 7:15 time remaining third quarter. Dover leading 16-12 in this Region 11 Division III state semifinal regional game. Mager is dropped back at the original line of scrimmage. It looked like either Shoeball or McCutcheon.
I think Shoeball had the original task of getting things started as far as the wrap-up is concerned.
Well, they were all in there.
Didn't quite catch who the final Dover player was to bring him down.
3rd and 10. Sheridan takes timeout. We'll take a timeout from Salzburger Memorial Stadium in Zanesville. 6:44 time remaining third quarter. Our score, Dover 16 and Sheridan 12.
(16-12) is our score from Zanesville High School. 6:44 remaining here in the third quarter. Tornadoes out on top. I'd like to thank the Pepsi-Cola Bottling Company, Parkway Nissan, Lincoln Mercury, Bag and Save, Ferris Chevrolet, Truck Sales and Service, the Buckeye Joint Vocational School, the J.C. Penney Company, the Pizza Restaurants, Miller Clothing and Shoes, Andrews Furniture, Sugar Creek Heating and Air Conditioning, Maurer Carpet, and we'll tell you more about our sponsor list here upcoming after this play.
Paul Culver has had time to discuss it. It's 3rd and 10. Quick pass across the middle is incomplete. Pass intended for the slot man, Blair Crossan. I'll tell you something, he threw that in the area of about 3 Tornado defenders.
He certainly did. For that one to be pulled off, he would have had to thread the needle real well on that one. Fortunately, it was low to the ground. Dover didn't have a chance to reach up for it.
And dropping back in punt formation, it is the quarterback, Mager. I think this is his 4th punt of the night. Gets off a good kick. Tornadoes will watch it be touched dead at the 22-yard line. And touching it dead for the Generals, number 33 on the coverage team, Chris Sagan.
Also like to thank the Tuscarawas County AAA, the First National Bank of Denison, also the Boulevard Dover, Bronze Heating and Air Conditioning, Diamond Savings and Loan, Catola's Dry Cleaners, Zimmer Patient Care, division of Snyder Labs Incorporated, Pit Stop Car Washes, Marlowe's, McMillan Heating, Marchand Pontiac, Pasacra Matthias Realty, and the Tolan Herzig Funeral Home.
1st and 10 Dover. They actually spot the ball at the 23. Here's Washington. And a flag goes into the pile thrown by the back judge. I'll tell you, that was
That's
a nice
9.8 on the flag throw there,
right. And it's face mask against Sheridan.
So the Tornadoes really will like this penalty. Let's get a chance to see it. Also look at the flag.
Here comes Paris. Somewhere in that pile,
Boom.
the back judge picked up a face mask infraction.
So that'll hurt the Generals. Flagrant penalty being whistled against them.
That moves the ball up to the 44. 1st and 10 Dover. Again, it's Washington. Works his way over midfield to the 49. Jamie Lentz, the nose guard, one of the players doing his best to try to slow down that forward momentum of Paris Washington. Gain of 6. Ball on the Sheridan side of midfield. Clock winding down to the 5:35 mark, time remaining third quarter. Long count by Edwards. Still with the football. Pitches to Martin. Jeff's in trouble, and he'll go down back at the 47.
Nice open field tackle by Robinson, who came blazing through there.
Jim Robinson. Now, it's interesting that they elected to go with the wide option series. Get to see the tail end of it, and right there's Robinson. That play loses yardage. Sets up a 3rd and 8 from the 46. Under 5 minutes left in the quarter. Edwards. Frame split straight ahead. Washington, they were waiting for him as he gets out to the midfield stripe, and this may force Dover into their first punt of the game. So the Tornadoes will punt for the first time. Blair Crossan drops back along with Meagher in twin safety. C.J. Woods to punt it. He is punting into a little bit of a breeze as the wind has picked up a little bit. Knuckleball type of kick. It just dies at the 25, and it's finally touched dead by Scott McCutcheon at the 25. Timeout on the field, 4:07 time remaining, 3rd quarter. Our score, Dover 16 and Sheridan 12.
Okay, guys, you're really going to be happy to hear this. If one of you can you run me up the Brant's copy? I don't know if it's possible.
First down, Sheridan, ball at their own 25. Under 4 minutes time remaining, 3rd quarter. Kevin Meagher under center, fakes the dive to the fullback, straight ahead. Cut out at the 28. Tackle. Mike Ickes looked like he tripped him up, sent him head over heels momentarily. But Meagher able to fall forward for about 3 yards. Crowd, for one of the few times here this evening since the outset, somewhat silent. I think it's just a matter of anticipating the clock winding down as we'll get set for the start of the 4th quarter, but still plenty of time in this period of action. Meagher, draw, running room Robinson, but the Tornadoes close it up quickly. Smales, Washington on the tackle.
Boy, Dover doing a great job tonight containing the Sheridan Generals' diverse look as you get a second chance to look at it. It could have been a problem play up the middle.
You couldn't block it much better than that, but the Tornadoes were able to quickly react to it.
They certainly did, John.
Smales and Washington, also C.J. Woods in the area, sets up 3rd and 4.
Dover doing a great job not locking themselves into one particular type of play. They're very motivated to move somewhere else where needed.
Meagher to throw, quick pass across the middle, caught by Crossan, but he fumbles the ball, and Dover has it.
Well, I tell you what, it was due to a great hard hit that time by the Dover secondary that forced that one.
That was an excellent read by Meagher, the quarterback. They saw that he was trying to work on the outman, Smith, and Crossan from the slot.
Let's try to detect who put the hard hit on here. And that was Jason
Edwards.
Popped it loose. So the Tornadoes beneficiaries of what could have been a tough play for them, as that would have been first down yardage necessary needed for the Sheridan Generals.
First down, ball at the Sheridan 43. Here goes Washington down to about the 40. We have a momentary stoppage in play due to the fact we have a penalty marker and it's holding against Dover.
John, while we sort out this penalty, let's ask you the question, where do you get the best service and value when you rent your movies? Brant's Video, of course.
That's right.
Brant's offers over 2,000 VHS movies to choose from. New movies arriving every day. Easy return of your tapes right next door at Brant's drive-thru without even leaving your car, which you probably like. Convenient hours. Brant's is open every night until 10 o'clock and Sundays till 9. And with Brant's Video Card, every 11th rental is absolutely free. And now there's another reason to rent at Brant's. For a limited time only, Brant's is waiving the usual membership fee, which is normally $4.95. Great selection, no membership fee, and convenient hours every day at Brant's drive-thru on West High in New Philadelphia. Back to action.
First down 17. Edwards looking to pass. Throw is incomplete. Intended for frame on the curl-in pattern, but there are a few Sheridan defenders in the immediate area as well. Robinson was one of them. Don't forget, I'd like to thank Ned and his fine crew at Branch for their continued support of high school athletics.
Of course, you saw Matt Frame trotting back to the huddle, who had was on the receiving end of a scoring strike earlier. Big, exciting 60-yard play. Halfback option from Martin.
It's 2nd and 17 from midfield. Ickes breaks a tackle, but he's got a lot of red shirts to contend with back at the 48. Robinson, Mager, along with number 88 in defensively for Sheridan, Eric Ramey.
Tell you what, even though Carpenter didn't make the initial hit, although he made the initial, he didn't make the initial tackle, he made the initial hit, which gave his teammates enough time to come over and cover the play. Mike Ickes then really had no time to get outside.
Now Dover takes time out with 1:24 time remaining, third quarter. Jim Reichenbaugh faced with a 3rd and 20. Our score, it's Dover 16 and Sheridan 12.
You're doing a great job.
Back at Zanesville, the Tornadoes facing 3rd down and 20. Edwards rolling, has some time. Now he elects to run. And he's brought down at the 47-yard line.
Thought maybe if Jason Edwards would have decided to pull it upfield a little bit earlier, he would have had some open space, but he just waited a little bit too long. His momentary hesitation allowed the Sheridan Generals to close in on the play.
Now it'll set up 4th down. And the Tornadoes now will be forced to punt for the 2nd time tonight. Again, the wind has picked up a little bit. It's going from left to right across the viewing screen, which would actually mean C.J. Woods is punting into a slight 5 to 10 mile an hour wind. C.J. Woods gets off a beauty. The ball will take a Dover bounce and roll dead at the 4.
Got always put into that one.
That's a big play there. C.J. Woods with a 42-yard punt. And it pins Sheridan deep into their own territory. 1st down at their own 4. And this is one situation, as far as the part of the field is concerned with Sheridan, really you can expect anything. Paul Culver, I don't think would be afraid to try to go for a home run if the situation warrants it. Here's the toss. Robinson in his end zone, cuts back across the grain, gets out to about the 8, which gives Generals a little bit of running room. Shoeball in on the tackle, along with Ferris. See if referee Ed Milko puts the in-play signal in the effect he does. Matter of fact, right at the 25-second mark. So Sheridan, if they elect to do so, and that's what quarterback Kevin Mager is discussing with the referee, whether or not he has to get off the play or not. They do. Mager on the keeper, across the 10, out to about the 13 as the quarter ends. And depends upon where the spot of the ball is. It's either close to a 1st down, or it'll be 3rd down and less than 1 when we return. That's the end of 3 quarters of tonight's Ohio High School Athletic Association Division III, Region 11, regional semifinal game. Our score at the end of 3 periods of play, the Dover Tornadoes 16, the Sheridan Generals 12. Welcome back to Zanesville. And of course, this will give us a chance while we have the timeout to mention the Dover administrative staff. Of course, Tornadoes, colors crimson and gray. This year they were independent as far as their schedule was concerned. Their enrollment, 322 boys in the high school. Superintendent, Mr. Bill Zanders. Mr. Larry Baker, the principal of Dover High School. The athletic director, Jim Heller. And of course, the first-year head coach at Dover, graduate of Ohio State University, Jim Reichenbach. It is third down. Mager trying to roll out, and he'll be stopped. Mager dropped back at the 12 by Scott McCutcheon.
Jason Edwards doing a nice job, too, of scraping through there. Got Meager turned around enough so that the stop could be made up by his
You're right,
teammate.
Tim. You had it right on the button. Jason Edwards had as much to do with the play as McCutcheon making the tackle, and now Sheridan's forced to punt.
So the Tornadoes should realize some pretty good field position out of this. 16-12 is our score after coming off that scoreless third quarter in which both defenses really got into the trenches and dug in.
Again, Kevin Mager does the punting from his end zone. It's a wobbly, fairly decent kick, but it gets a good Sheridan bounce, and it's touched. I think if the man on special teams would have let it go, I think Mager's punt would have traveled an additional 6 or 7 yards. It's Chris Sagan electing to down the punt at the Sheridan 49.
So Dover now looking to get the upper hand as they'll be starting to drive off in Sheridan territory. 11 minutes remaining here in the fourth and final stanza from Zanesville. Hope you're enjoying the competition on Dimension Cable TV 2.
Of course, the winner of this game will advance to the Region 11 Finals to be played next Friday. Edwards rolling under some pressure. We'll have to take the loss back at the 42.
He took a real big hard hit in there. I think that was number 22, leveling the final hit on the play for Sheridan. That was Dennis Abram, number 22.
Get to look at it the second time around.
He was kind of sandwiched in there was Jason Edwards.
Actually, it was Sherman Carpenter, number 32, who was able to grab a hold of Jason first.
But Edwards gets up in pretty good fashion. But the Tornadoes minus yardage that time.
Loss of actually 7. They give it to Washington. He's stacked right up at the line of scrimmage. The general defense definitely not fooled on that second and long situation. And now this forces the Tornadoes in a situation that the fans really haven't seen too much of this year. Third and long yardage. Frame split left, full house backfield. This time they go with Martin. Martin cuts it up the middle, has some running room. Across the 40, 35, brought down at the 31.
And he dragged Robinson for about 5 additional yards. Martin at first looked as though he had a hard time hanging on to the football, finally got it arranged properly, and here you'll see it.
It's just a little misdirection counter. He got a good block from Will Wirtz. Then just elected to just go east-west or north-south. I don't know how the field's configured, but he just went straight ahead.
Well, you notice the way Martin does not try to outrun his blockers. He stays with them and tries to weave in and out from where they set up blocks for him.
Here goes Washington, still working his way forward to about the 26.
So a quick strike by the Dover Tornadoes puts them in business just under 9 minutes.
Sheridan
the contest.
Trying to coax the referee in a fumble call, but they ruled that forward progress was motion dead at the 27 after Washington gained 3. 8:40 time remaining, fourth quarter. Jason Edwards calls the signals. It's the second man, Ickes. A little bit of running room inside the 25 to the 23 before he's brought down. Looked like Orion on the tackle, number 66 for Sheridan. Frame and C.J. Woods alternate the split end positions, bringing in the plays off the Tornado bench. Approaching 8 minutes to go, fourth quarter. third. We'll call it 2. Jason still with the football, cuts it up, inside the 20, brought down at the 15. Tackle made by Eric Ramey. Jason Edwards that time electing to call his own number. As you can see, the tail end of the play. First down, Dover, the ball at the Sheridan 15.
Edwards with a nice job of running that option play.
This time it's Washington to about the 13 before he's brought down. Tell you something, give credit to that Sheridan defense. They've heard a lot about Paris Washington coming into the game, and they've really done a pretty decent job of containing it. But yet that play gained 3 yards, even though it didn't look like much. Approaching 7 minutes time remaining. Ickes loses the football. It's still loose, and coming up with it is Sheridan. And it looks like Mager will go all the way.
It was in question for a moment as far as which defender was going to get it, if they could get it. And that allowed a little bit of time for possible recovery by the Tornadoes to come back and get it. Ickes, there you see the ball knocked loose. One player had a hand on it, didn't get it. Mager comes up with it on the run and outruns the last over player in there after it.
Looked like he picked it up at about the 35. And Kevin Mager takes it 65 yards, and now Sheridan takes a timeout. Timeout while Sheridan thinks about their try for the extra point. 6:46 time remaining, fourth quarter. It's now Sheridan on top. The Generals 18 and Dover 16.
Let's take a look at that again, guys, if we can. Why don't we do it now? Stand by. 6:46 remaining here in the contest. Sheridan coming off a big play. And we'll get a chance to take a look at it as Mager recovers the fumble, returns it the length of the field, 60-yard recovery and return off of a Mike Ickes carry.
Try to catch the player on the play that forced the fumble.
Take a look at it here in a second as soon as our people down the truck get it back up on the reel.
There you could see he picked it up at about the 35.
Mager with a lot of speed.
Oh, yes. That makes it 18-16 Sheridan, and this is a big two-point conversion upcoming.
Tell you what, though, that fumble is a good indication of how hard the hitting is taking
Yes,
place out there.
it's
been that way
really-
all night.
It is especially really picked up here in the second half. Here's the big try for points. Mager looks, dumps it out in the flat, and good defensive play by Dover as
Washington racks up Robinson. Robinson tried to turn the corner, nothing doing. So that'll put things here in a holding pattern with 6:46 remaining in the contest as both teams go back to benches, get some final instructions as we watch Sheridan come out for the kick. And we'll come back with more fourth quarter action as the score is 18-16, Sheridan out on top. Taking a look at the replay, once again, you see Mike Ickes getting the hard hit, fumbled around, Mager there to pick it up. Goes 60 yards, fumble recovery return for the touchdown. Quick strike by Sheridan Generals. We spoke of the hard hitting going on out there. It's caused at least a couple fumbles that we know of.
18-16. Here is the Sheridan kickoff. It is fielded by Martin. Still looking to pick it up, and now he decides just to fall on it at the 25.
Smart decision. A lot of time remaining in this contest. Dover can reorganize themselves and get another drive.
One thing Sheridan's been able to do here in the second half, they have really forced Dover into some long yardage situations, and that's been a situation that the Tornadoes on offense, really, they haven't really seen that much of. First and 10, 25-yard line. Edwards looks to pass, has a man in the flat. Ickes, 40. He's at the 45, still working his way ahead out to midfield.
Ickes with a nice job. I tell you what, he had good concentration, first of all, to pull the ball in. Then he made his way upfield down the sideline.
You know, Mike would definitely like to atone to that fumble. Nice pass laid perfectly in the flat. There's Smith trying to grab a hold of him, and then it takes about 3 other players to bring him down.
Almost got a hand in there on the face mask area, too. So the ball at midfield, 6:19 remaining here in the fourth quarter. Clock is running now.
Of course, Ickes stayed in bounds, so the clock will continue to run. Edwards again looking to pass. Pass incomplete for Washington at the 45. Well, does this surprise you? Dover coming in as a very vaunted running attack team. Now all of a sudden they're electing to go to the air. Tell you, on that combination pattern, looked like Jeff Martin on the seam cut was wide open. Second down from midfield. It's Ickes, the second man through. Gets down to about the 43. Now it's 3rd and 3 as we're now under 6 minutes time remaining fourth quarter.
Get a look at it again. Watch Ickes go off the left tackle for some good yardage.
Good seal block on the linebacker by Cap. Also help from Don Watson. But I'll tell you what, the linebacker Robinson made a beautiful job fighting off blocks and making the tackle. 3rd and 3. It's Washington across the 40 to the 37.
Washington with some just plain old good straight ahead running. Got the first down yardage necessary.
The chains move. First down, Dover. Ball at the Sheridan 38 with 5 minutes, 30 seconds. Time remaining fourth quarter. Edwards, hands off. Martin trying to get outside, but now a nice tackle at about the 32, but Martin picks up 6 valuable yards.
And that was Smith bringing him down.
Tell you, another player that has really played an excellent two-way game is Jeff Smith, or Greg Smith, I should say. And you can see Smith again. He's been all over that field tonight.
Couldn't ask for a better football contest, John. Certainly well worth the price of admission here tonight.
Second down and 4. 4:45 time remaining. Washington runs into a stone wall inside the 30 at the 29.
Coming up on the 4-minute, 30-second mark here in the fourth stanza, 18-16, Sheridan leading.
Of course, the winner of this game will face the winner of Saturday afternoon's game at Peden Stadium on the campus of Ohio University between Ironton and Coshocton. This is a big play. 3rd and 2. Ickes tripped momentarily, tries to work his way ahead, and I think it'll be a matter as to where the official spots the ball. Looks like about a foot short.
Ickes did his best trying to keep his balance after he momentarily stumbled. Try to work his body forward as much as possible. It's going to be close. So that'll bring up a very crucial yardage situation here. Fourth
Clock
down.
continuing to run. 3:35.
Less than a yard to go. Edwards has to turn around to call the signals to his backfield.
Edwards keeps. He's got a first down at the 25.
We're at 3:21 in the fourth quarter.
As he helps up number 69, John Russell, who made the tackle.
Here you get a second look at it. Edwards decides to keep it and sneak up through the line there.
He saw the little bit of opening, and the only chance he knew he had to get the first down, and he elected to make that move. We have an official timeout on the field. I think for either an equipment repair or an injury. I think it's just an equipment timeout. First down, Dover. Ball at the Sheridan 25. 3:15 time remaining. Edwards looking to pass. Has Martin. Can't hang on at the 20. He had Jeff open.
Looked like Barton was kind of in a precarious position, had to pop himself up. Was momentarily going down to the ground or something. Couldn't quite hang on to the football. So 2nd and 10 is the yardage situation. We're at 3:07. Clock stopped here in the fourth quarter.
Sheridan clinging to a 2-point lead. Dover with a 2nd and 10 at the Sheridan 25. Washington 20. 16-yard line.
What a job of carrying players along with him there, John.
Put him at the 17, gain of 8, 3rd down and 2.
We'll get a second look at it here quickly. Watch Washington carry 3 players with him. Grinds out some tough yardage.
3rd and 2 from the 17. 2:35 remaining. Washington inside the 15 to the 13. Now remember, 3 points could put Dover ahead. But Dover has not been noted for their kicking game all year. So keep that in the back of your mind if it ever comes down to it. First down from the 13. Edwards calling signals. Option. He gets it to Martin. Jeff is dropped back at the 16.
Edwards did well enough to get it to Martin as he was spinning around after almost going down from a tackle there. He got it to Martin, but nonetheless, the play ended up in the backfield anyway. We've got an injured player down there. I think it's Smith. Here we'll get a second look at it here.
You can see Doug Factor make the tackle, and
looks like a left wrist possibly, or left elbow. We'll sort that out here in just a moment. So with 1:51 remaining here in the game, our score 18-16, Sheridan leading, and the ball's on the 12-yard line of Sheridan. Dover with the football when we come back. At Brant's, you get the best service and value when you rent movies. Brant's is located on West High Avenue in New Philadelphia. They offer over 2,000 VHS movies to choose from. New movies arriving every day. Easy return of your tapes right next door at Brant's drive-thru without even leaving your car. Convenient hours. Brant's is open every night until 10 o'clock and Sundays until 9. And with Brant's video card, every 11th rental is free. And now there's another reason to rent at Brant's for a limited time only. Brant's is waiving the usual membership fee, which is normally $4.95. Great selection, no membership fee, and convenient hours every day of the week at Brant's Videos on West High Avenue in New Philadelphia. Well, we're still trying to sort out the injury down below to Smith as he went down on the previous play. Can't quite get a handle on what exactly the injury might be, John.
And it looks like they're checking there's something in either the arm or the elbow, possibly.
Of course, Dover at the 12-yard line, and it's taken them 12 plays to get to this point. They started initially at the 20-yard line, put together a pretty nice drive here. A couple good timed passing plays, and one of those included a 25-yard pass reception to Mike Ickes from Jason Edwards.
There you look at the Dover contingent across the way.
And this will give us an opportunity to thank all the people involved in helping pull off this cable cast. I was in contact all week long with Barry Detweiler of the Thornville Sheridan School athletic director there. Of course, head coach Paul Culver, thank him for his cooperation, and his staff in getting us statistical information and so on. Also, the Zanesville Regional Playoff Site people, the manager here, Ronald Apperson, the athletic director at Zanesville, his staff running the tournament, and we'd like to thank him for his help in getting us going. And also Jim Reichenbaugh from the Dover Tornadoes, and of course athletic director Jim Heller, as they are taking Smith off, and things don't look very good at this point.
Looks like possibly a right leg or a right knee, but no matter what happens or what the outcome is on this one, there's one young man that has played an outstanding game of football tonight for Sheridan, Greg Smith.
Very talented individual out there. We saw him do a lot of things tonight, and he's gone both ways all evening and has played a whale of a game. We've seen him on many, many different occasions throughout the course of the contest. We wish him the best.
The clock is set back in motion because of the official timeout after the loss of 2 yards from the 15. Washington, 10-5, touchdown!
I'll tell you what, Washington got into the middle of the field, and he was in a one-on-one matchup, and from there, you got to go with Washington, who made his way across the goal line for the touchdown. Quite an effort. Let's watch it again.
Watch the blocks of Wirtz. I didn't catch the other one. Looked like Wirtz and Capel, along with Hostetler.
And boy, does he hit those holes quick, John. Whew.
Dover wants timeout. And we'll take timeout. 1:31 time remaining, fourth quarter. Dover 22, Sheridan 18. Back at John Salzberger Memorial Stadium in Zanesville. John Avoy with Tim Torelli. If you've been with us from the outset, there's still 1:31 left.
Let's take a look at the touchdown by Paris Washington. Watch him hit these holes quickly. Nice blocking from the line. They just kind of made the Sheridan defense go in segments across the field. And
it was the blocks of Wirtz, Capel, and Don Watson who kicked the man outside, which gave Washington enough room to take it in. And now a big try for 2 points. Now either way, Sheridan would have to score a touchdown. Edwards pitches. Ickes will try to get to the corner, and he does!
He sneaks in. Nice job. Great blocking as well.
So now, not only with a touchdown, Sheridan needs either an extra point kick or elect to go for 2 to try to pull this one out.
Nice block by Martin. Look at him screen his defender out of there.
I'll tell you, that has become the toughest block nowadays because, of course, you're not allowed to chop a man anymore. It's an illegal block below the waist, and you have to go up basically into a player that's usually got you outmanned size-wise, and to stay with him for that long a period of time, it makes it a tough block. When we return, the Tornadoes will kick the ball off to Sheridan. Our score with 1:31 remaining. Dover 24.
We're back at Zanesville as we seem to be experiencing some technical difficulty with JD's microphone. We'll try to get that situation ironed out as quickly as possible. CJ Woods getting set to kick it away to the Sheridan Generals after the Tornadoes now lead 24-18. Capping a 13-play drive was Paris Washington on a TD scamper of 16 yards as their drive started out on their own 25-yard line. So the Tornadoes now with the upper hand at this point in the contest, just under 1:30. Clock now ticking as Robinson gets the kickoff from Woods. Robinson running left side over the 15 and knocked out of bounds and swiftly taken out on the sidelines by Reniker, along with Wallach at about the 18-yard line. So that's where the Generals will set up shop here to try to make their comeback with little time remaining in this contest. It's been a whale of a game. If you were not here in person, hope you have had a chance to check this one out on a replay basis, because it's one of the better high school football contests you're ever going to witness. We've seen it all here tonight. Two well-coached and very disciplined teams out there on the Zanesville field playing their hearts out here tonight. So now Meager will lead his offensive squad with a man in motion. Meager back to pass, rolls right, finds nothing, gets himself turned around, almost is knocked down in the backfield. Once again, almost brought down by Herbert this time. Fires out in the flats, and there he has Collins at about the 38-yard line, who's all alone. Finally brought down past the midfield stripe into Dover territory at the 45-yard line. Ickes racking the play up. What maneuvering in the backfield by Meager, as he was seemingly wrapped up once in the pocket, then twice. Look at this. Once gets himself turned around, keeps his balance. Herbert almost racks him up, and then he slips away, unleashes the pass, and finds Collins, who was wide open, as Collins had a chance at that time then to slip through the Dover coverage. And once you get the quarterback scampering around in the pocket like that, that's going to allow for a couple holes here and there. And Meager, one of the opportunists that he is, spotted Collins on the left side of the flats for the big gainer. And it looks as though Sheridan has an injury out on the field, and we're going to sort this out. And we're going to come back with more competition from Zanesville right after you watch this. We're back at Zanesville, and Kevin Meager has lived up to all pregame billings. What a premier quarterback. Did a great job in the pocket that time, scampering around, avoiding a couple tackles, and unleashing to Collins for the 27-yard gainer in trouble. So now Meager back to pass, ball at the 45-yard line, spots his receiver in the flats, but ball underthrown, and the receiver, intended receiver, looks as though he slipped. That was Blair Crossan across the way. That would have gone to pretty close to first down yardage. And again, we're experiencing problems with JD's microphone here. We're going to try to get things ironed out as we go along, as we're wrapping up things here from Zanesville. It's been quite an evening of football. Great crowd on hand, close to 7,500 people packing the stands. So now, second down and 10-yard situation, ball at the 45-yard line. Handoff underneath to Robinson. Robinson scampers for a couple yards as Pat Ferris takes care of the stop on that particular play for the Dover Tornadoes. Again, Tornadoes leading in this matchup by a score of 24-18. And we have a timeout on the field called by the Sheridan Generals. They're going to talk things over, and we're going to come back with the third down play with more action from Zanesville right after you watch this. Welcome back to Zanesville. 54 seconds remaining here in the contest. 3rd and 7 is the situation. Meager back to pass. Meager looking for a receiver. Can't spot anybody. Almost brought down the backfield. Dumps it out to Robinson somehow. Robinson scampers on the right side and goes out of bounds. Meager that time with a great job just to release the football. As had he gone down, look at this, almost brought down, I do believe it was Ferris, somehow dumps it off to Robinson on the right side, and he did well enough to dump it off to save the play from being brought down in the backfield, which would have kept the clock rolling, as well as substantial yardage loss. So Meager, once again, with a great outlet, and spotted Robinson. So now we've got a 4th down, 5-yard situation for the Sheridan Generals. Dover looking to hold. Meager back to pass. Spots Crossan across the middle. Crossan goes in for the touchdown. Oh, the Tornadoes heartbroken as now it is tied up 24-24. Let's get another look at it. Just a quick drop back in the pocket. Turned around and spotted Crossan, who was just making his route cut right to the post area. And somehow a couple holes in the Dover defense failed to be plugged. And Meager spots Crossan for the 40-yard touchdown aerial. So the all-important point after touchdown upcoming, 36 seconds remaining in the game. We're going to come back and take a look at it right after you watch this.
We have just finally received our audio back, and just an unbelievable play on 4th and 5, and now it comes down to an extra point kick. Tom Kopus, who had the first one, hit the upright, kicks it through the uprights, and it's 25-24 Sheridan.
What an amazing turn of events. What a contest, John. We've been sitting up here in utter amazement.
Well, it started out with the return, and the Tornadoes had good return coverage as it was Tyler Wallach along with Brian Reneker pinning Robinson back at about the 23, and maybe it's just one of those 98-yard John Elway drives all over again.
Let's take a look at it.
4th and 5, and he hits Blair Crossan on a pattern over the middle, who split the defense and went 40 yards. And Tom Kopus kicked the point to make it 25-24 Sheridan.
And for the Dover fans, all is silence. Of course, previous to that, it was a touchdown scoring drive by the Tornadoes. As you see, a squib kick received by the Tornadoes, and it'll be down at the point of reception.
Well, Watson, I'll tell you what, Don made a nice catch right there. Ball spotted at the 32. Now, of course, you have to be aware of the fact about the timeout situation for Dover. Tornadoes trying to get set. Now the Tornadoes will go with 2 wideouts. Pass incomplete, intended for Woods. As I mentioned, now this is something that Dover is not accustomed to. With the exception, of course, of the game against Steubenville. Just an unbelievable drive. And of course, the big play of that drive, let alone the touchdown, was Kevin Meager's ability to scramble. And he hit Todd Collins, who was wide open at the 45, managed to pick up 10 yards before a Dover defender could get to him. Here's Edwards. He's going to the corner, and it is knocked away, which will make it 3rd and 10.
Blair Crossan, 21, deflecting the pass out of bounds to stop the clock at 19 seconds remaining here.
Just unbelievable. They say it was Meager to Todd Collins to pick up that big chunk of real estate out near the 45. Edwards is hit as he throws by number 22 for Sheridan, Dennis Abram. He was looking for Woods.
There you get a chance to see the play once again as the Sheridan defense converging in, stopping up that play. 4th down, 15 seconds remaining in the contest.
That's academic. Well, of course, Dover would possibly get another play if they elect to pick up a 1st down. But they have to pick up the 1st down to keep the football. 15 seconds. Martin throws incomplete. And that was a legal play because Martin was behind him for the lateral. As long as he didn't cross the line of scrimmage, it was a forward pass. But the pass fell short of the mark. What can you say about this one?
Two well-coached ball clubs, very talented teams out there, John, and they really put on a performance tonight, and they both played their hearts out. Outstanding high school matchup.
Matter of fact, Kevin Meager will sit out this last play. They're not going to take any chances of him possibly getting hurt here on basically trying to take the snap from center and fall on a football.
Very disheartening loss for the Dover Tornadoes, but quite a season under first-year mentor Jim Reichenbaugh, as we'll see the Sheridan Generals whistle for too much time.
All they have to do is take one snap, and it's academic. Well, it's pretty much academic anyway.
Congratulations to Paul Culver, head coach of Sheridan. Fantastic team he's put together. And they'll be moving on to regional final competition next Friday night.
And again, it looks like the jinx is going to continue.
And that is as far as a Tuscarawas County team winning their first round of playoff competition in football. But congratulations nonetheless go out to the Dover Tornadoes on a fine, fine season, full of a lot of excitement.
The clock winds down.
John, quickly taking a look at things here in the second half. Of course, coming into the second half of competition, Dover with the 16-12 edge. Scoreless third period of play, and then it was quickly the Sheridan Generals scoring at 6:50 in the fourth as Meager picked up a Ickes fumble. He was hotly contesting the backfield for that one, popped loose and went 60 yards for the touchdown. And that made the score 18-16, but then Dover put together a well-engineered drive, a 13-play scoring drive starting from their own 25-yard line, finally ended up by Paris Washington, who scored from 16 yards out for the TD. And at that point in time, it was Dover leading by a count of 22-18. Of course, Dover's two-point conversion good to make the score 24-18. And then, as John echoed, kind of going back to the John Elway type drive against Cleveland last year that cut off the playoff hopes for the Browns of heading into the Super Bowl, as Blair Crossan caught the TD pass, 40-yard scoring strike from Meager to tie it up, and then the point after touchdown was good. I'd like to thank our crew down on the truck tonight, Tim Stavanis along with Dan Hurst, Rich Wells, and Joe Heck providing the operations as far as camera, also Linda Spring helping me out with some statistical information here tonight, and of course you, John, for all your help throughout the course of the season.
Thanks very much, Tim. And, this wraps up what's been a great season for high school football. Of course, Garraway and Don Hertler's crew having an outstanding season winning the IVC. And, of course, the Dover-New Philadelphia matchup, which is always colorful and outstanding as it has been. And all the other teams in our area who did real well this year, of course, Indian Valley South and all the teams, Indian Valley North, Central Catholic, Claymont, New Philadelphia. All 8 of our coverage teams are to be commended. Tuscarawas Central Catholic be commended on outstanding seasons and outstanding programs, and their outstanding support of our coverage. We thank all the administrative staffs of all the schools, because year in and year out, here it is again, right between 2 Dover defenders, and now they can only watch in vain as Blair Crossan goes in from 40 yards out.
Great job tonight by our crew down on the truck, Tim Stavanis and Dan Hurst, providing some excellent looks at tonight's contest as you see a disheartened Dover team enter into the locker room. But congratulations, guys, out to them for a fantastic season. And really, they have lifted the Dover football program.
So that'll wrap things up tonight from John Salzberger Memorial Stadium in Zanesville. If you missed it, you missed probably one of the best high school football games you'll ever see. The final score, the Sheridan Generals 25 and the Dover Tornadoes 24. So long, everybody.